This is we are live. He's doing well. That we living in. I've got more guitars. We've got some great talk. But before that, why don't we introduce again? I will be your lovable, unhuggable, I guess, host for the next however many minutes we've got. We've also got let's see, we've got David in the house. Say hi, David. Can you hear us? Maybe we've got Shana instead in the house. Oh, Shana, we can't hear a word you're saying. It's kind of like the voices in my head and everybody else. Let's try something else. Let's try to say hi to Andrew.
Hey there, guys.
Hey!
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm Andrew. I'm one of the interns here at Rainbow Reef. So excited to be joining you guys today on this live talk here, and I can't wait to get into some scuba diving stuff.
Cool. We're going to see if David is still ice diving and frozen or if he's with us.
I am back now, I think. Hi, everybody. I'm David. I'm an instructor with Rainbow Reef, and I've been on a couple of these calls, so maybe you've seen me before, and I'm glad to be here again.
Excellent. Welcome, David. Thank you for joining us again. And do we have Shana now? Ah. Can you sign? No.
Your mic's not picking us up.
You know what? We're going to get back to Shana. She's going to see if she can reset things. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have IATSE working for us. We're doing this ourselves, so bear with us. So over the last couple of days, we've actually received a few interesting requests and questions, and we would like to address those. One of them is, as most of you know that have been diving with us before, you know that we put a dive guide in with every dive that we do. Now, it's your choice whether you actually use that dive guide or not, but that dive guide does like to go in with the same 6 people that they come back with. And you have actually asked, how do they manage that? How do the dive guides not get lost, and how do they maintain contact with all their students? So let's see if we can go over to David, because I think Shane is still working on it. David, and let's see what you've got for us.
Yeah, so not getting lost, that's a little bit of a trick question, I think, because sometimes we all get a little bit lost every now and then. But basically, I can't speak for all of the instructors. I tend to use natural navigation, and we'll talk a little bit more about navigation in a minute. But also what happens for us guides is that we start to really recognize the features of a particular dive site. So it's sort of like if you've been driving on the same country road for a long time and you know where the barn is, you know where the curves are. That really helps. But certainly my first time on any dive site, it's sort of me trying to pay attention to where I'm going and how I'm going to get back. And then also, of course, watching the divers to make sure they're all doing well. Like for me, at least, going really slow helps a lot. You can also dive with a compass. For me, that would be a little bit, I think, too much task loading if I'm trying to pay attention to a compass and sort of keep my eye on divers and sort of point things out and that sort of thing. So natural navigation works better. But I know that Andrew recently took the navigation specialty course, so he might be able to talk more than I can about compass navigation.
Can you guys
David,
hear
I'm
me
glad
now?
you brought
Yeah.
that up. Oh, we've
Yes.
got a
Yay!
All right, we're going to have to get those IATSE guys back out to Shana's house because we're doing this remotely, by the way. Just so you know, we figured that 6 feet's not enough. We're doing this from the comfort of our own home, or in this case, I'm actually doing it from the dive shop. So yes, as a matter of fact, David mentioned he was doing some natural navigation, and that's an excellent technique and method for finding your way around under the water on our reefs. He also mentioned a specialty that's called underwater navigation. So I would like to go to Andrew because I know that Andrew just happened to finish an underwater navigator course and get his take on it. And ask him about that potential task loading of diving with a compass, true, false, and also what does he think about
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in there on the underwater navigator specialty. It's definitely one of my, I think, favorite courses I've taught so far, or at least definitely up there in terms of ones I've gotten to take so far while I've been here at Rainbow Reef. And David did mention task loading. That's definitely something in the underwater navigator course you work on. That compass positioning and handling I found out to be really important, and that's something you can master taking that specialty just because having it in the center of your body line when you're underwater can be really helpful to make sure you keep your direct heading. Another thing he kind of mentioned having all of the people you're guiding on your trip. Something I kind of realized is good buddy communication is so key when you are underwater navigating. That's something I feel like I kind of learned maybe the hard way on my first couple of dives in the specialty. If you and your buddy are not on the same page, it makes it super difficult to be able to navigate a course or to do a navigational pattern. But if you have good dive planning ahead of time and you and your buddy are on the same page when you enter the water, navigating makes your dive so much easier and streamlined, and you can definitely save a lot of energy and time locating the dive site or any other cool sites you want to see underwater.
Cool. That sounds really interesting, David, or Andrew. Um, Now, what kind of things you need to keep in mind? You were talking about the position of the compass. Is there something else to keep in mind if maybe you've got a built-in compass into your computer?
Definitely. I feel like I typically use an analog compass, but those built-in compasses I would say are probably a little bit more sensitive. And if you're definitely having those wrist mounted ones, making sure you're keeping it streamlined and you have a good fold there on your arm, kind of like so. That way you're keeping it straight in line with your body. I kind of use my belly button as that reference point, as a place where you kind of go is going to be where your belly button goes first. So using that as a good aid, so you're not just turning your wrist around when you're diving because that's going to change your heading, but it's not actually where you're going.
Nice. So, would you recommend taking a navigation course?
It's definitely something that I feel like I've already used in other specialty courses I've taken, and it sets out a good foundation to make sure you have a good, safe, enjoyable dive.
Cool. Now let's see if we can actually talk with Shana and if she can
Hi,
talk to
guys.
us.
Can you hear me?
There's a Shana.
Yes.
Shana, would you just take a minute and
Fantastic.
go ahead and introduce yourself for us?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Shana. I am an instructor with Rainbow Reef Dive Center. I'm really happy to finally be here speaking with you. I'm also a part of the Rainbow Reef Dive Center conservation team. I am super passionate about saving the ocean and using diving for that. So if you have any questions about that at all, send them my way. I'd love to chat.
Excellent. So, Shana, I see that you actually have a banner behind you, and we might as well just skip right to the elephant that's in the room, so to speak. And would you tell us a little bit about this Project Aware that seems to be behind you?
I would love to. Project Aware is an amazing nonprofit organization. They are basically the movement that arms divers to work in marine conservation and allows recreational divers to use their dives for good, whether that's dive against debris or shark awareness or coral conservation. They offer a lot of specialties, and then they also use what you learn in your specialty course to contribute to data to help protect those species in the wild and actually push for legislation to improve plastic policies and pollution policies all around the world. We love working with Project Aware. We do a lot of Project Aware courses, and we actually offer, when we're running one of their Dive Against Debris dive specialties, once a month. And we're super thankful to partner with them.
That's fantastic. Excellent. David, we were talking about specialties earlier, like the navigation specialty. Can you tell us a little something about the Project Aware specialty, perhaps?
Yeah, so as Shana mentioned, there's a couple that are actually centered around actual dives. Shark awareness is a really cool one. We do have some sharks here. We've seen there's sharks in a lot of dives, reef sharks. Sharks are hugely, hugely in danger right now because of finning and other kinds of overfishing. So it's a great course. As Shana mentioned, also Dive Against Debris, where you're literally picking up things that don't belong in the ocean. But also, if you want to just sort of know more about the ocean and know more about how coral reefs basically exist and live and the interactions among the different marine creatures, Project Aware has two specialties that you don't even need to be a diver for. You can just be interested in the ocean. There's a Project Aware specialty course and Project Aware coral reef health. So those are both things that I would definitely recommend. You can actually, there's no age limit, there's no prerequisites or anything. So those are fun as well.
Wow, that's fantastic news, David. As a matter of fact, we have already been looking into remotely. That means via the computer and via Facebook or perhaps Zoom or something like that, bringing the Project Aware, the coral reef conservation, and other dry specialties to you in your home, should you wish. If you are interested in taking some of these courses, we'd be happy to hear from you. Go ahead and let us know. Type us a little note. Let us know if you'd like us to do a Project Aware for you, coral reef conservation. We've got an equipment specialty that we could perhaps do. But again, we need to hear from you, and we'd like to know what you'd like to do. The Project Aware is one of those things that's very near and dear to my heart because, as I say, don't just count your dives, make your dives count. Now, Shana, you mentioned something about the Rainbow Reef Conservation Team. Does the conservation team only work with Project Aware, or are there other foundations that are ocean oriented that you also work with?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I have such a big soft spot in my heart for all of the amazing organizations we work with. As I said, we do a Project Aware Dive Against Debris dive once a month. We also work with Coral Restoration Foundation once a month. They are an amazing organization based out of here in the Keys, working to actually restore reefs, outplanting staghorn corals, elkhorn corals out on our reefs. We also work with Reef, which is called Environmental Education Foundation, and they do fish surveys, fish identification courses, so that you can actually count the fish on your dives, and then that goes into the world's largest database for fish diversity and abundance. We also work with small organizations that come and use our boats in order to do any conservation work they want to do with. We are always open to partnering with other organizations and really proud to be able to use our fleet of 8 boats to help make the ocean a better place.
Excellent, excellent. And for more information on that as well, please let us know, drop us a note, and we will be happy to get more information your way on what we're doing with other organizations to help the oceans. Now, Andrew, I know that you just also did a Dive Against Debris course. What would you say was the most important takeaway from that course that you had?
How much the data collection and every little bit helps. As you kind of said, you're saying as I was taking that course a lot, make all of your dives count. Every little bit helps, and every data that you can give to Project Aware and the Dive Against Debris program when you're diving, whether that is when you're picking up and collecting the debris, or maybe there's a really clean site that you dive at and there's no debris there. Just making sure that you can report all of that so that way Dive Against Debris and Project Aware can do their jobs to help make the ocean and the reefs a better place.
Excellent. So we've got a couple more questions that have come in, and one of them specifically has to do with fins. As you all know, fins are important to actually get around because we are not like those people that can just go underwater and swim. We need fins. So there are two main kinds of fins. There's a blade fin, which I have displayed here, and there's a split fin, which I have here. Now, would someone like to tell me what's the difference to you?
Absolutely, I can. So your blade fin is going to be more like a paddle, so it's going to actually push the water, whereas your split fins are going to act more like a propeller. So they actually create sort of this jet stream out between the two parts of the fin, which pushes you forward. A lot of people say that your split fins make it easier for you to move faster. However, you can get more
Hmm.
power with a blade fin.
And you can play peekaboo too.
Ross is acting
Um,
as the water propulsion.
yes, exactly. I'm the water propulsion. So what you were talking about is this kind of motion where the outside is rigid, but because of that, this actually works as a propeller. So that's really kind of interesting. Now, there was something else that came up, which is foot fatigue. Which do you think, David, is minimizes that foot fatigue, or is that even an issue?
No, well, certainly that can be an issue, and also I would add to that calf cramps. I'm sure we've all cramped up during a dive. It's part of the open water course to deal with that. Um, the blade fins, and particularly I wear full foot blade fins rather than booty, give you a lot more power, which is important for an instructor or a guide. But they definitely take more work. If I do have to move hard to say chase someone or whatever it may be, I definitely feel it throughout all of my throughout my entire legs. I have very seldom been diving with split fins, but everybody says that it's just such a easier way to dive from a sort of relaxation standpoint. But I don't know personally how true that is, but that certainly is their reputation.
Excellent. I've actually noticed that the fins will also vary based off of what kind of diving I'm going to do. For instance, rescue diving, I may use a more blade oriented, but if I'm actually going to be doing some peak performance buoyancy or going in and out of things so that I can actually have more mobility, then the split fin, here we go. One more question on fins. This spring, what what's up with the spring? Go ahead, Shana.
The spring is great for helping you get those fins over your feet if you're wearing booties. If you have what's called a full foot fin, which was what David is saying most of us instructors wear, that's going to not have a spring. It just slides over your foot sort of like a slipper. And we instructors normally use that fin because it's easy to put on in an emergency if we need to throw on right on the boat. Whereas your spring fins, your open heel fins, that's if you have a booty, so you need to put the booty on and then the fins as well. I really like having those open heel fins for when I'm traveling and when I'm shore diving. That way you're ensuring you're not stepping on any rocks or hot sand or anything. It keeps your feet protected.
Excellent, nice. So perhaps when you sign up for your rescue course, ladies and gentlemen, you'll want to look at maybe a full foot fin that will go on quick and easy, like Shana said, so that you can get into the water and get that person out. We've actually had a couple of requests already. One of them specifically is, ladies and gentlemen, that would be Andrew, Shana, and David. Can you please tell us what is your favorite dive site and tell us a little something about it because we miss the water right now and we need some scuba snacks.
I want to hear from Shana
Andrew, why
first.
don't you go first?
Oh, I love this. So I've actually been diving the Rainbow Reef sites, the Key Largo sites, since 2016. So I have a lot of them that are near and dear to my heart. My personal favorite one has to be Fire Coral Cave on Molasses Reef. I, without a doubt, always have an amazing time. I see eagle rays and green sea turtles and reef sharks and nurse sharks there. And then in Fire Coral, it's the only place juvenile yellowtail damselfish, which are those ones with bright blue spots. So you can see these incredible teeny tiny fluorescent fish on your dives at Fire Coral Cave.
That's cool. How about you, Ann?
Awesome. So I've only been diving here for about a month, but I've had the pleasure of getting to go to a lot of really cool sites. So it's tough for me to kind of pick and choose what maybe my favorite so far. But if I had to choose, I would either choose probably between Benwood, which is one of our shallow wrecks here, or Snapper's Ledge. Would also be kind of one of my favorite. Little bit different. Both. I like Benwood just because I love kind of getting to see the wrecks, and since it's a shallow wreck, you can get to spend a lot of time down there just kind of exploring, seeing all the different coral growth on the wreck itself and all the different marine creatures that are around it. And then I liked Snapper Ledge quite a bit just because I think there's a huge abundance of different types of marine creatures. I'm really a big fan of sponges and all those kind of things and little tiny marine creatures to go along with your sharks and your turtles and all that stuff. So I think there's just a very good variety there.
Nice, nice. How about you, David?
So, on prior calls, I've actually dodged this question, and I decided today I was not going to, and I had no idea what Andrew was about to say, but I was actually going to mention Snapper Ledge as well. It is actually, every time I go there, I love the topography of it. It's like a fish tank, an aquarium, very similar to the aquarium dive site on Molasses, but on a larger scale. So I've just really been enjoying that dive site lately. I would also, as long as Andrew mentioned the Benwood, I would just mention that if you want to take me on a night dive, I really want to go to the Benwood. There are always turtles there bumping into you and all kinds of other cool stuff. So that's my favorite night dive.
Hey, oh, that's some cool dive sites. Yes, I would have to say that all of those dive sites are fantastic, and I'm going to go the David route, which is any dive site that I can get to right now, I will take it. I will go.
Yeah.
I will be with the fish. I will be with the sharks. I will be in the wonderful, wonderful world of the water, which is where we all want to be right now. At least I do. Um, and yes, by the way, we will be opening back up. We will be taking out. We will be doing our dive against the breeze. Don't forget your goodie bag. It may not be very good for COVID-19 right now because it doesn't do very much, but it does actually work when you're putting stuff in it that you need to take out of the ocean because everything that's underwater is alive until you touch it. Um, let's take another question. Here's an interesting one about masks. How do you choose the best mask? Andrew, why don't we start with you this time?
I might be the least experienced in the group in terms of that. But for what I find and when I'm handing out rental gear, it's all about the seal and making sure you can have a good seal around your face and that it's comfortable for you. The last thing you want is to have a mask that does not fit right and you're down underwater and all you can think about is, man, this mask is really digging into my cheek or my lip, or it keeps moving up and down on my forehead and you don't get to enjoy your dive. So definitely having a mask that fits correctly is extremely important and one that's also comfortable on your face.
I would have to agree.
That's a super good point, Andrew. Me personally, I really like masks with wide fields of vision. I'm always eagle-eyeing for little pieces of debris that might go unnoticed. So I like being able to see a whole lot. So I like the frameless masks or even the ones with these peripheral windows on the side. I think they give you a whole new way of seeing the ocean. You have to account for the fact that the water is going to make you see a little bit behind what you would be seeing on land, but I think it's a marvelous way to get sort of a panoramic experience.
Great. I was thinking of building a new mask myself. This way I can see it all the way around. David, what would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I will echo both Andrew and Shana. Fit and comfort is of paramount importance. I too am a big fan of the frameless mask. I have the atomic frameless, and it has never let me down. It lets a lot of light in. It has a broad panorama, as Shana was saying. I love that. I will tell you that because masks are so personal in terms of how they fit and how you sort of deal with them. When I'm traveling, I will check all of my dive gear. If it gets lost, I can rent a VC, I can rent a computer, I can rent a regulator. I will never ever check my mask. It always comes in on my carry-on because that is the one thing that I do not want to have to rent from and have a mask that I'm not familiar with.
And that one's
Very
super
good point.
comfortable too.
Oh, so comfortable.
Yes, I would have to agree. It is comfortable. Now, little known fact, or maybe people don't know that when masks are manufactured, the manufacturer actually puts a slight film on the inside for shipping, which means that before you can use a new mask, and when you come down and you get a new mask from Orlando, he is going to make sure that you know this, that you need to actually remove that film. And the best way to do it is just with a little bit of toothpaste, a little bit of finger power, and rinse it out. Not an abrasive toothpaste because you don't want to scratch it, but just a little toothpaste, get it good in the corners and everything like that, and you'll be able to remove that film. And then from then on, a little bit of defog, and away you go. So once again, folks, we will be keeping you posted as soon as our oceans are open. We will be out there. We will be teaching. We will be taking courses ourselves. We will be hoping to save the ocean one piece of debris at a time, and we will continue to dive. If you want to join us, please let us know. If you would like to do some of this distance learning with the Project Aware specialty, the equipment specialty, please let us know. We'd be happy to help and put something out there so that we can do some learning from our own living room and eat up on all those scuba snacks. So it looks like our time is up. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to my guests, David, Shana, and Andrew. And once again, I'm Rainbow Reef Ross, signing out.
See ya. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everyone.